Hello, this is Elizabeth Griffin, the Black Romance Writer, and welcome back to my channel. If you haven't subscribed, if you're not following me, please take a moment and do so. And definitely share my content with others, with those people that are aspiring writers who want to publish books but don't know quite how to do it. I have several platforms, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, in which I post daily videos about how to write, how to create, and how to publish. I don't want to brag, but I do know a little something about writing romance novels. I have 47 ebooks under my belt. I have 3 paperback published novels, and I have 12 audiobooks. I'm working on my 13th one, so be patient. It'll be coming out sometime in 2025. I have over 50 years writing experience. Some of it was in my adolescent years, and a lot of it was when I became an adult. I've been researching and reading about romance and romance writing all my life. So I want to say I'm an expert, but that's not quite true. I still use reference books. I still refer to the other great writers to learn how to improve and to hone my craft, even at the age of 61. Which brings me to the topic of this video. I was browsing on Amazon when I came across a book that caught my attention, a book that I decided I need to have as part of my library. And it's called Writing a Romance Novel for Dummies. The dummies part of that title caught my attention because sometimes I feel like I don't know anything when it comes to writing, when it comes to developing stories. I know that's not true, but romance writing for me is an ever-evolving career in which I am always, or I should always, be seeking ways to improve my storytelling, my creative outlet, and my production of new books and new material. So on Monday, I had my son order this book for me, as well as a book by Brenda Jackson, which is written in Spanish because I'm practicing my Spanish as well. The book that we ordered arrived Friday. Well, actually, correction, it arrived Thursday. I began reading it Friday, and that is what also prompted this video. So I would like to read to you the foreword because I believe it sums up exactly how I feel about writing. It showcases some of my own experiences when it comes to describing how I felt at the beginning of my writing career when I was 9-10 years old. The foreword is written by Linda Howard, and she beautifully states the following. I admit it, when I wrote my first romance novel, I didn't know what I was doing. Of course, I was only 9 years old and didn't know what I was doing most of the time. What I did know was that I loved writing, and I took great joy in creating these rambling, cliche stories that swooped in and out of different characters' points of views as the plot galloped from one country to another, all without a single chapter break. I knew what chapters were. I just didn't care. All that mattered was telling the story. My love for writing never faded. I eventually learned to break that tale into chapters, just as I learned the rules of grammar. Although I still hate all that wasted white space on a page. Margins are for sissies. Do you know how many words you can get on one sheet of paper when you make your handwriting really, really tiny so that you can actually get 2 lines of prose inside one ruled line of notebook paper and write from one side of the paper to the other? A lot. And I wrote on both sides of the paper. I think one sheet held close to 1,500 words. Ah, the good old days. Now stories have to be typed and double-spaced on only one side of the paper. Not only is a lot of white space wasted, but the challenge of seeing how small I can write and having the words still legible is gone. But Fast forward a couple of decades, roughly. I was still writing. I had never stopped, and writing was the great private joy of my life. I wrote westerns. I wrote fantasies. I wrote science fiction. And I wrote thrillers. But they all had one thread in common. They all had romance in them. I connected to romances, but I wrote everything by the seat of my pants. I hadn't researched or studied anything and had no idea of any of the do's or don'ts. I just had the stories. Finally, one morning, I woke up and decided to see whether I was good enough to be published. Then I did some research. I found out how to prepare a manuscript, margins were required, and how to submit it. Everything else I did the usual way, by the seat of my pants. I wrote a book and sent it to Leslie Wanger, my dear friend and editor of over 20 years now, who bought it. That's how she became my dear friend and editor. I was a newbie in the business. She was fairly new herself. What I knew about writing would have rattled around in a peanut shell, but I love what I did know. Leslie loves books, and she taught me the publishing lingo, how a manuscript gets into book form, and all the other details that become part of a writer's life. Her editing, good heavens, how I needed editing, taught me more about the structure of writing than anything else I'd learned since learning the English language. Little did I know that my chosen genre, romance, was the toughest one to write. It can't be, you say. So many romance books are out there. It can't be difficult. Oh yeah? Try it. Romance readers are probably the most prolific readers on the face of the earth. And they don't read just romance. They read everything. As a group, they're frighteningly knowledgeable. They know their genre, they know what they expect, and they like being surprised. How do you give them what they expect and surprise them at the same time? Sheer dumb luck and a lot of hard work. Romance is the best discipline for writers. It forces you to learn how to make your characterizations so strong that the characters not only live on in the reader's minds, but the readers also have a personal connection to the books. A romance writer has to learn pacing, how to tell a coherent, cohesive, and engrossing story in 80,000 words or less, depending on the category line. It's a tough challenge. Any tips are appreciated. There weren't any tips when I started writing back in the dark ages, BC, before computers. No one had analyzed the hearts and parts of numerous romance books and broken them down for me to study so I could polish my craft, tighten my plot, and otherwise get a head start. I feel cheated. Why wasn't this book, Writing a Romance Novel for Dummies, written 25 years ago? But it's written now by the expert in the romance publishing field for you to enjoy and learn from. Have fun. I still feel cheated. Linda Howard. Linda Howard is talking about the book Writing a Romance Novel for Dummies. And I plan on studying this book from front cover to back cover. And I will share some of the knowledge that I gained in reading this book. As I said at the beginning of this video, I am constantly trying to find ways of improving my writing and storytelling and presenting the best product to you and for myself as possible. So thank you for joining me on this channel. I'd like to let you know that I reached 2,000 subscribers, which is a big accomplishment last week, and I owe it all to you. So thank you, thank you. And until next time, I'm wishing you love, peace, joy, and happiness. Bye-bye.